Waqf or create a Waqf, Mullah, I'll have to show that I have been practicing Islam for 5 years to the state. Mullah, why would I? It's my property. Why would I have to do that? If I'm born a Muslim, Mullah, why would I have to do that? The challenge that who are you to say that I cannot create a Waqf my user? That is my essential faith and practice.
The Parliament cannot enact any law.
Within itself, Mullah, my essential religious practice and faith
must be reasonable
and must be reasonable and proportionate. So that's by and large, Mullah, the broad submission under which we'll have to examine the provisions of this act, Mullah. Finally, look at 3R, definition of Waqf. Waqf means, Your Lordship has that?
Yes.
Waqf means the permanent dedication by any person showing or demonstrating. Does Your Lordship don't have the bearer?
Yes, we got the bearer.
So 3R, Waqf means the permanent dedication by any person showing or demonstrating that he is practicing Islam for the last 5 years, of any movable or immovable property, having ownership of such property, and that there is no contrivance involved in the dedication of such property for any purpose recognized by the Muslim law as pious, religious, or charitable, and includes such and such and such and such. So, Mullah, therefore, if I want to set up a Waqf or create a Waqf, Mullah, I'll have to show that I have been practicing Islam for 5 years to the state. Mullah, why would I? It's my property. Why would I have to do that? If I'm born a Muslim, Mullah, why would I have to do that? Why should the state be a judge of whether how good a Muslim I am or not?
Personal law will apply.
My personal law will apply to me, Mullah, immediately. So, Mullah, per se, according to me, Mullah, this, and then, Mullah, what is that contrivance involved? I'll tell you, Lordship, what sections I'm challenging. I'm challenging this, Mullah, 3R.
Yes.
Then I'm challenging, Mullah, this proviso to 3. Proviso to 3. Provided that the existing Waqf by user properties registered on or before the commencement of the Waqf Amendment Act as Waqf by user will remain as Waqf properties, except that the property wholly or in part is in dispute or is a government property.
Which proviso?
This is the proviso. Waqf means, after Waqf means,
Page 6 of the compilation.
well, as they have, as your Lordship knows, Mullah, deleted Waqf
Yes.
by user.
Yes.
For the past.
For the past, Mullah, they have maintained it.
Yes, fine.
For the future, they have Mullah. So that's another challenge, that who are you to say that I cannot create a Waqf my user? That is my essential faith and practice. So, Mullah, that's the second challenge.
Then put in dispute with
And this, every encroacher, Mullah, will have to be, it will be decided. Who will decide that? The dispute mechanism, Mullah. Now kindly come, Mullah, to section 3C. First 3A, Mullah. 3A, 3 capital A, subsection 2. I'll just read it, Mullah, and tell your Lordships what the challenge is. Creation of a Waqf halal olad shall result in denial of inheritance, shall not denial of inheritance, rights of heirs, including women heirs, of the Waqf or any other rights of persons with lawful claims. Well, who is the state to decide that? Under what lawful claim are you talking about? Well, who is the state to tell us as to how the inheritance is going to happen in my religion?
Even under the Hindu Succession Act, the state has enacted the law, tells us how the succession will take place.
In Islam, Mullah, that's not the case, Mullah.
Are you saying that?
That's interference with 26.
Just a question before you answer. The Parliament cannot enact any law. Parliament has enacted law with regard to Muslims also. May not be to the same extent as case of Hindus, but it has enacted laws. It has enacted laws with regard.
No, I'm not on that, Mullah. Because of 26, I'm sorry, Mullah. I'm on a normal, narrow issue of 20.
26 does not bar the legislature, the Parliament, as the case may be, to enact laws.
Subject to morality, public health, and public order. This is nothing to do with that.
But That's never prevented, 26 is never prevented either, because 26 is universal. It's secular in the sense, because it applies across all communities.
Yes, yes, correct.
So,
But they were.
Hindu Succession Act, Hindu Guardianship and Maintenance Act, so many acts have been
Well,
enacted.
I'm not, please, all right, I'll just move on, but I'll just tell your lordships, why the challenge? Why the challenge? Inheritance in Islam applies after death.
Correct?
They are interfering before that. That's the point. But that's the point only, Mullah. I'm just flagging the point, Mullah, so that there's no
Okay,
time.
fine.
So that's point number 2.
It's the extent of discretion.
Correct. Point number 3, Mullah, kindly see, 3C. 3C. In Millard's page 9 of the book that I've given to your lordship.
Yes.
Any government property identified or declared as Waqf property before or after the commencement of this act shall not be deemed to be a Waqf property. Any property, government property identified or declared. So, Millers, if they identify or declare, it shall not be Waqf property. Then, Millers, 2, and I think the whole section is ultra vires. 2, if any question arises, whether any such
Okay, just one. 2 of section
3C, 3 capital C. Well, let's first 3C1. It's much better to look at that. Page 9 of this book, Mullah. (3C1), may I read, Mullah?
Yes.
It says any government property identified or declared as Waqf property before or after the commencement of this act shall not be deemed to be Waqf property. So, Mullah, they can make a declaration, says this is not Waqf property. Now, see how that is done. If any question arises as to whether any such property is a government property, the state government may by notification designate an officer above the rank of collector, hereinafter referred to as the designated officer, who shall conduct an inquiry as per law and determine whether such property is a government property or not and submit his report to the state government. Provided that such property shall not be treated as Waqf property till the designated officer submits his report.
There's no time limit.
And there's no time limit there. Quite apart from that, Mullahs, quite apart from that, what is that process where the government officer will decide in a dispute between the government and the Waqf that this is government property? You therefore have identified an officer who is part of the government, who will be a judge in his own cause, because he's an officer of the government. And he gives a declaration. Identifies and gives a declaration. This is again per se unconstitutional. Provided that such property shall not be treated as Waqf property till the designated officer submits the report.
So if the
Yes.
property is on lease, where is the rent?
It's the
Oh, sorry, I didn't want your lordships to hear this.
yes.
So, Mullah, that's the third challenge. Challenge 4, Mullahs, perhaps even more serious. Declaration of protected monument or protected area as Waqf to be void. Any declaration or notification under this act or under any previous act in respect of Waqf properties shall be void if such property was a protected monument or protected area under the Ancient Monuments Preservation Act, 1904, or the Ancient Monuments or Archaeological Sites and Remains Act, 1958, at the time of such declaration or notification. So all these properties,
Just one. One reads it carefully. Last part says, at the time of declaration or notification. At the time when it was declared or notified as a Waqf,
yes,
then that declaration will be void.
yes,
If at the time of such declaration.
it was a protected monument.
It was a protected.
Correct.
But how many of such cases will be there? Because,
Any there, Jama Masjid.
no, Jama Masjid was a Waqf property, but before the.
That's correct. So that is a protected monument also then, Mullah.
I'm just asking this question. On my reading is probably interpretation in your favor.
I see. I'm quiet then. And I'm quiet for this. I don't want to say anything more.
But that's something you have to listen carefully.
Yes, yes, I appreciate it.
What I was saying was, if somebody's been declared a Waqf, before that monument was declared to be an Asian monument covered under the 2004 Act or archaeological monument under the 1958 Act, it will not make any difference. It's to continue to remain Waqf.
That's right. That's our submission was.
Therefore, you really should not be objecting to it, except to the extent that something after it has been declared to be an Asian monument or covered by the archaeological survey, then it cannot now be created into a Waqf.
Correct. And now it can't be declared to be void. That's all.
Not this. Even if it has been declared to be a Waqf, after the monument was notified or declared to be an Asian monument or archaeological, covered by the Archaeological Act, then that will be void. But most of the monuments, like Jama Masjid, or for that matter, most of the masjid, many of the ancient masjid will be all protected. They will not be hit by this cross.
I'm sorry, I don't have the place. That's kindly appreciate that. When you go to a mosque, for example, which is part of a protected, take Sambal, part of a protected monument. What happens is the
Anyway, we'll
Mutawali,
ask the other side what
the
to do.
Mutawali.
We have understood your argument. We'll ask the other side.
So therefore, this is now this is 3D, Malas. That's my challenge there. 3E is the fifth challenge, Malas. Bar of declaration of any land in scheduled or tribal area as Waqf, notwithstanding anything contained in this act or any other law for the time being in force, no land belonging to members of scheduled tribes under the provisions of the 5th schedule or the 6th schedule to the Constitution shall be declared or deemed to be Waqf property. Now, Malas, I have a chart here where all these Muslims are deemed to be scheduled tribes.
Isn't there a lot of laws across India which says scheduled tribes cannot transfer the property except with the permission of the court?
That's all right. But see what the extent of no land belonging to the scheduled tribes shall be declared or deemed to be a Waqf property.
Scheduled tribes have always, as far as land laws are concerned, ownership is concerned, they've been always protected. In fact, some of the legislation.
Lordship is right. I'm not. That's right.
Which is the right,
That's non-tribals.
not to tribal. So a scheduled tribe member, even when they are protected laws like in Maharashtra, they,
Wait for your turn. Mr. Sipal can answer that.
Correct. So, Malas, therefore, you can transfer it to a scheduled tribe.
Okay, understood.
Not only that, Malas, they shall be declared or deemed to be a Waqf property.
Understood.
So, Malas, that's the fifth point. Now, Malas, kindly come to the Central Waqf Council. Malas, your lordships may just note that under the 1995 Act,